Broadcasting from the KC Coyote Studios, you're listening to the Great American Sports Show on 102.7 KPGZ, the most comprehensive and hard-hitting sports hour in the KC Metro. And now, here are your hosts, the Outsiders, Clint Schweitzer and Noah Groniger.
And welcome in to the Great American Sports Show. Noah Groniger alongside Clint Schweitzer, and we have an action-packed show for you today. Former Kansas City Chiefs running back Larry Johnson, he had a lot of success here, and he also had his troubles. He's come back in social media to the Kansas City world, giving his thoughts on the current Chiefs. He will be joining us here today. And in our second segment, we will be interviewing none other than Robo QB, former LA Raiders quarterback Todd Marinovich.
Of course, you've seen the 30 for 30. The Marinovich Project, which aired back in 2011, a lot of people really became obsessed with this story of Todd Marinovich and how his dad basically formed him into be an NFL quarterback and how he trained him from a young age. We're going to be talking to him about that. We're going to be getting a course with Larry Johnson about this Marcus Peters trade, something that's just swept the city here in Kansas City. A lot of talk about that. And if you want our opinions, stick around. We're going to be giving it in more, maybe in more visceral detail later on in the show. But who better to get into it with than our guest right now. He is joining us from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Former Chiefs running back Larry Johnson. Larry, welcome to the show. How is everything going, my man?
The sun is shining 70% of the time.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're experiencing a little 70-degree day here in Kansas City. I know you get those sometimes randomly here in February and March, so we're trying to enjoy that because it might be 22 tomorrow, so got to take it all in.
You got to take advantage.
well, Larry, we can't thank you enough for taking the time out and talking to us today. And I think one thing that's very interesting is that in recent times, you've been very active in Kansas City social media communities on Kansas City Chiefs groups. You've been talking a lot of Chiefs. First off, what's that been like for you? Kind of connecting with Chiefs fans, and what's some of the feedback you've been getting from people you've been talking to?
I mean, it started out rough, which is understandable because obviously. No one knows growth or change if you don't automatically keep reproducing and staying online or staying on social media. So most of the fans have been really, really cool, really great for me on Facebook and Twitter, and gave me their support, and I also give them like a little bit of insight of how players react to certain things and how players can get better and what things will turn out for the Chiefs in 2018, 2019 season. So, I mean, it's been a fun time for me to reconnect with fans, and I've loved it. Now I'm like ready to go back to Kansas City just to hang out now.
Yeah, we got to get you back here, but I don't know if there's going to be many people at the stadium because we got to get your thoughts on this Marcus Peters trade. A lot of fans are upset about this. There have been so many rumors surrounding this trade. But the latest one, after Marcus Peters' recent interview on NFL Network, is that he and head coach Andy Reid did not have any problems. So the rumor is that this was a Clark Hunt decision. What are your thoughts on that, and how can Clark Hunt and the Chiefs make this move and say that winning a Super Bowl is their number one priority, which has long been questioned since Clark has been owner?
I think you have to look at the grand scheme of what the culture of Kansas City Chiefs are. I mean, like Clark Hunt runs it, so every decision that he makes, he's thinking of his father. He's thinking of what Lamar Hunt would do at this time. And Lamar Hunt was a sweet, sweet man. And you have to be able to uphold some type of reputation when it comes to your players. If you have a player throwing flags in the stands and creating an uproar, the fans are the ones that take over and have that power to either have Marcus Peters stay or have Marcus Peters leave. I think the backlash from what he has become a thing where Clark had to make a decision on what the reputation of his Kansas City Chiefs were going to be in the offseason. I think the media plays a lot of part in it because that's all they're going to be asking is what Marcus Peters is going to do for next season. Is he going to protest? Is he going to throw more flags in the stands? As an owner, Clark Hunt just can't stand that type of reputation to be the outlook of his team in the future.
You made a very poignant social media post on Facebook just yesterday about kind of the comparison between Marcus Peters and Travis Kelce, a guy that has been involved in some similar on-field shenanigans, throwing a flag at an official, kicked out of games, a lot of personal fouls, things like that. But you refer to Travis as a guy that's a fan favorite, a guy that he has a reality show. Maybe he's more approachable or recognizable. But yet, we hear from Marcus Peters that he says he has no real issues with any of his teammates or any of the coaching staff. So, kind of talk about that comparison that you made between Kelce and Peters and why the Chiefs, decided to ship out Peters, but a guy like Kelce remains on the team.
I mean, I don't want to get really racial about it, but it's just the way the stigma is around not even only black athletes, but black children, black teenagers, black people regardless. We have a stigma that if we don't smile or dance or entertain, they're always in a passionate move to be hateful. We always have to be upset. That our passion always gets mistaken for we're disgruntled, we're misunderstood. Someone like Travis Kelce will always be the fan favorite because I would pay to play with Travis Kelce just as much as I would pay to play with Marcus Peters because I can understand both sides. But most people look at African Americans as a aggressive, ferocious type players, and then you see the examples of the league is majority 75 to 80% black. So you see a lot of more aggression out of black players than you would out of players like Travis Kelce. I love both the way they both play. I would love to play with both of them, but it comes down to a monetary system. Who would you show up to while they watch? Travis Kelce or Marcus Peters be unapproachable? It's just the way it is. It's the nature of the beast that can't change. It's a double standard that has been in this league and been in this country since forever. And all you have to do is pretty much know who you are and know what the business is. This is a corporate business. The business is about money. Yeah, it's about playing on the football field and producing and winning championships. But at the end of the day, for owners and for coaches and for league owners and for everybody else, it's about money. So you gotta understand, who would you rather play to see, Travis Kelce or Marcus Peters? This is the way the game is.
What about paying to see winning football? You played for both owners. So, Larry, what were the differences in playing for Lamar Hunt versus Clark Hunt? From afar, it feels like Lamar was much more football first, while Clark is more business first.
I mean, I don't know. Carl Peterson drafted me himself, and Lamar Hunt kind of signed off on it. It just worked well that Lamar Hunt was the presenter at the Go Walker was when I won in my college year. And it just kind of glued and fit that type of scenario where I was waiting behind Priest and everything kind of ran as normal. I mean, it wasn't really any problems. We had great players on the team. We had great leaders on the team. So it really wasn't a problem when Clark Hunt took over. It was more about the image of the business and making sure you withhold the culture of who the Kansas City Chiefs were, and he wasn't going to let random players like myself corrupt the image of what the Kansas City Chiefs were. And I have to applaud Clark for that. He's sticking to his guns. You have to actually applaud a man for that not letting whoever says whoever about whoever take effort.
Absolutely, Larry, and I want to talk about kind of your time coming here. Of course, you were drafted in 2003. It's kind of been well documented that Dick Vermeil wanted a defensive player. He wanted Troy Polamalu. He wanted to go on the defensive side. The Chiefs' defense was really struggling at that time. But you come in here in 2003 and immediately are behind Derek Blaylock and of course Priest Holmes. Just talk about the genesis of your time here in Kansas City. Obviously, you wind up breaking a Chiefs record, the most yards in a single season with 1,789 yards in 2005. But in 2003, it was kind of a rocky start here in Kansas City. Just talk about the beginnings on that great team that went 13-3. But it was very slow. You getting acclimated into that team.
I mean, it was very hard. It was very hard for any rookie to come in and your first sign of a role in special teams. It's kind of hard because I played special teams in college, but when you get to the pro level, you think, okay, they're paying me to be a running back, not paying me to be a special teamer. So it was a rocky start from that, and I have to understand Dick Vermeil's point of view because, Carl Peterson single-handedly drafted me on his own because he wanted to use me as an insurance policy for Priest, which it's more of like a chess move rather than checkers. And, of course, that came with a lot of, growing pains, but at the end of the day, yes, I lost a lot of my youth years waiting on the bench, but then when I had my chance, I took full advantage of it, and the rest was kind of much history.
Larry, I remember when you kept coming here, you talking about wanting to be one of the greats of the game and how your dad would show you film of Jim Brown, Walter Payton, and others. Do you feel if you would have gone to an organization that was all in on you, where you didn't have to fight for your spot and would have been the starter from day one, that you would have realized your full potential in the NFL, or would you have fallen into the same problems anywhere you had gone?
I really don't know. I just know, me being young, me being on my own for the first time, I'm a daddy's boy. I was always around my dad. I always needed my dad around me. I always needed a comfortable support structure. You put me as a young kid who really hasn't been on his own before with money and my emotions when I can't handle being on the bench. I couldn't handle getting my season started, my career started. And that really messed with me being that young, and I've acted immaturely in a lot of situations because I was fighting to be who I always knew I could be, was an NFL running back. And it was just a struggle for me to kind of learn hard that I had to wait my turn. I had to start all over again. I had to do certain things the right way, the NFL way. And there's just some things I just couldn't grasp, but I could grasp it at certain times, and at certain times it just my emotions get the best of me, and I couldn't hold on as much as I wanted to hold on.
Larry, you guys had a lot of great leadership on the offensive side of the ball when you got here, like Tony Richardson, Trent Green, Tony Gonzalez, Will Shields, Brian Waters, Eddie Kinnison. Were there certain guys who saw you through those tough times and took you aside and tried to help you out?
It was a lot. It was Dante Hall, Eddie Kinnison, Willie Roaf, Brian Waters, Tony Richardson was the most because he lived so close to me, and Michael Bennett, and he was nearly my neighbor when I lived in Overland Park. And those guys really kept my head straight, and maybe kept me out of getting into more trouble or expressing my way negatively. They really, really helped me kind of like smooth over those toxic edges that I was running wild in the Kansas City community because I was so frustrated with myself, frustrated with what was going on, and I needed those players, needed that leadership to kind of reel me in and know what was really important for me and for my career.
Well, Larry, can you talk about your relationship with the three head coaches you played for here during your time in Kansas City, whether it's Dick Vermeil, Herm Edwards, or Todd Haley? And are you able to step back from your feelings, good or bad, for each of them and talk about their strengths and weaknesses?
I love Dick Vermeil because he was a player's coach. Like you got involved with his emotion with other players. Like every time he brought up Trent Green or Kurt Warner, I love hearing those stories. Like Vince Papoli, when he did at the time that I was with Dick, the movie
Invincible, Invincible.
Yeah, Invincible, and I love hearing those stories. I love hearing history of the NFL. And when it came with Herm, I loved Herm even more because Herm looked out for me as far as a running back needed to save his leg. He was good with Curtis Martin, and he was even tremendously great with me. I felt like I was the reason that Herm got fired because I felt like I should have been a little bit more appreciative of what Herm really brought to the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, I love, Herm made sure every single day I was next to him, or every Sunday I was next to him from the national anthem. And he always took care of me like I was a son and made sure I was good. If I had 98 to 97 yards, Herm made sure I went back in and got my 100. That's the type of coach I love, and he loved to run the ball. And when it came to Todd Haley, we bumped heads only because of our egos were so completely different. We were two alpha males with totally two different ways of running offenses. I wanted to run the ball more. He had a shotgun pistol offense. I wasn't successful during offense. He was a lot ahead of the game because he was an offensive guru. So me trying to fit into his offensive game scheme just didn't fit with who I was as a running back. It fit more with Jamal Charles and whoever he had afterwards. But as far as me, I just wasn't a shotgun, run the ball kind of a player. So we kind of bumped heads that way.
Now, do you have any regrets? You went on Twitter saying your dad was a coach, he played the game, but Todd never did. He played golf. So do you have any regrets about going on and handling it that way?
No, I don't ever regret that because it was a true statement. I can't regret fact. I can't regret fact.
Very true.
It's just something that it is what it is. It is what it is. Like, the next squad meeting, he came in and tried to explain, like, he came into Chicago Bears as a tight end coach. He was the offensive coordinator, which is remarkable to me because I'm hearing the transition of how fast he became a head coach. And my father always wanted to be an NFL coach, and a lot of black other coaches struggle trying to even get their foot in the door. I got young teammates that are coaches at like Howard, David Carney at Howard, and different universities that are dying to get into the NFL level, and it just doesn't happen as quick as them. For me, I'm looking at it as a standpoint where not everybody has the same opportunities, but, here you are, but what I said was a fact. It wasn't like I was lying on them.
Well, Larry, talk about physically the toll that the 416 carries, an NFL record. In 2006, you carried the ball for an unbelievable 416 times. Talk about the physical toll that took on you, and how that kind of affected you on the downturn of your career.
To me, people think that like 460 carries, that means I got ran into the dirt. People seem to forget, I didn't play college football, literally take carries until my senior season. I waited on the bench for Kansas City for like 2 to 3 years before 2006. So to me, I was getting back pay. I was getting tax return money or tax return carries. I was expecting those carries to come to me. To me, I was built for it. I'm a strong running back. I love, running in, $3 in a cloud of dust or $3 in a cloud of snow. I'm that type of running back. Give me the ball. I will never complain, and I would never say, "Oh, too many carries is too much. My legs hurt." No, I'm at the shape in my career I could withstand those carries, and I love the physicality of that game when you kept giving me the ball, because me giving the ball, it just warms me up. It doesn't cool me down.
Obviously, and I want to just kind of get your thoughts now. You seem to be in a very good place as far as your time here in Kansas City now. Reflecting back on it, though, how difficult was it, leaving this organization? I know you had a few off the field issues and wound up getting traded to the Cincinnati Bengals. Just kind of talk, reflect back on that time, leaving here. Were there some ill feelings and then moving on? And how much do you think that situation actually helped you later in life, overcoming those off the field problems and then leading you into your adulthood now?
I really didn't learn regret until I left Kansas City Chiefs, because I felt when time went on, it was so many different things that I could have done better personally for myself and for my teammates and for the coaches and for the owners. I felt personally, because I was one of the only few that had met Lamar Hunt before he passed, I felt like I let him down, because I had met that man and I had conversations with him. So it felt that when I look back and reflect, I wish I could have done things completely different and just kept my mouth shut, did what I had to do the first 2 years, and just left it up to chance and just left it up to luck and just going on with my career. And I would have been able to be in the league 3 or 4 more years, but because, which is what I'm trying to get Marcus Peters to understand, once you have a stigma attached to you that you're a problem child or a problem teammate or a problem player, it attaches yourself to you. So everywhere you go, people handle you with kid gloves. They handle you like, I don't know how toxic he is, but I'll keep him on the team for 2 or 3 games and see what happens. If I don't notice him smiling or being a teammate or being a team player, I have to get rid of him. And that's what happened at the later parts of my career. I felt like no one wanted to take a chance on me more than 4 or 5 weeks, and it's because all those off-field issues and all those issues I had personally that I just couldn't handle at that time took the best of the situation.
Larry, you're kind of outspoken out there right now talking about the current Kansas City Chiefs, so we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you your thoughts on the Alex Smith trade and Patrick Mahomes taking the reins. Alex was consistent, a good guy, a leader, a great teammate, but he just fell short when it counted late in playoff games. Mahomes, he has a special arm talent, maybe one of the best this league has ever seen. Can he harness it? Can he be the franchise quarterback this team has been in search for since Tyler Thigpen? No, but maybe forever.
Like the saying goes, Rome wasn't built in a day. So a lot of Kansas City Chiefs fans got to be really, really patient with them, because young kids or young quarterbacks just don't start off being Super Bowl ready or playoff ready and just under like a couple of preseason games. That's just not how it works. Some guys just need a little bit more time to get acclimated, and you need to help them out with the offensive line. You need to help them out with receivers. You need to help them out with the running game. It's a lot of different things that he has the tools to do. It just takes time to actually him get acclimated. Alex Smith, it was just coming to a point in his career, there's certain things he couldn't do. He needed a lot more help and a lot more backup to get him to that area. And people really can't be mad at Alex Smith. He played amazing this whole season. Like, he did everything you asked him to do, but certain players just don't have that extra something to carry them off into the playoffs or carry them off to the Super Bowl. Hopefully Mahomes has it, because he's a young kid and he's fiery. Hopefully, that'll spark sooner than later.
Larry, before we let you go, I've always thought back to this 2005 season, and that was a really good team that did not wind up making the playoffs, but you wound up rushing for 9 straight 100-yard games that season, but it started off with you and Priest Holmes kind of sharing the load. You both had monster games in the first week against the New York Jets, just blew the roof off. It looked like it was going to be a tandem that was not going to be able to be stopped. Do you regret not being able to have more of a 1-2 punch with Priest Holmes, or in hindsight, are you thankful for the fact that you got to be the number 1 guy here in Kansas City, or do you think you could have done real damage had Priest Holmes been more healthy that 2005 season?
If he would have been more healthy, he would have made my career a little bit longer, maybe. I would have just been waiting. Like, for me, I'm a back that needs 20 to 30 carries to get in a rhythm, to get in the groove, to really get my emotions out. I really wasn't good with, a 1-2 punch of me coming out when I got going or him going in. Like, I just never knew when he was going to come out. And I would just have to go in there randomly. And it was like, sometimes I was ready, sometimes I was not, sometimes I don't really know how hard they're going to hit. Like, to me, I have to be in a game from the beginning to the end and in overtime to really feel my way out, to really take over games in the third or fourth quarter, because I need to be in there and get warmed up in the first and second.
Now, Larry, you were just a rookie in 2003, but did you know kind of did you feel any separation between offense and defense, especially in that playoff game? That defense couldn't stop Peyton Manning all game. There was no punts in the game, but you got William Barty out there, Eric Hicks, and just such a great, strong offensive unit, that great offensive line, Tony Gonzalez, Trent Green, yourself, Priest Holmes, and that defense just couldn't get it done for you guys.
It was tough. It was tough. It was a tough game, man. At that time, Indianapolis Colts was very, very good on defense, too. And they were very good on offense. We had some weapons, and I'm surprised we didn't lose as much as we did when we played them at their place, but we fought. We tried to fight and stay in there. It was a very long season. We didn't even know at the time we were going to even get into the playoffs. But, we did, and I felt like we just didn't have enough oomph to actually, get the job done. And, they were a good team at the time, and they proved it because they kept going.
Larry, I tell you what, we can't thank you enough for joining us and reminiscing about some of the good old days, talking about the state of the current Chiefs. We love having you to bounce stuff off of. You have some really good points. And I'll tell you what, anytime you want to come up to KC, man, come up for a game, hit up Noah, hit up myself. We'll make it happen. We'd love to have you up here, man. I know a lot of Chiefs fans would love to interact with you up here in person and do it the right way, man. Bring you back to Arrowhead. We'd love to make that happen.
Oh, let me know for sure. I'd love to come back. I'll make sure it's different. It's like a homecoming game. I need when Kansas City versus Denver. That's to me, that's like a homecoming game to me.
Hey, there you go. You know that one's always going to be a big one, Larry. I tell you what, thank you so much, my friend. We'll be in touch, and we can't thank you enough again. And best of luck. We'll definitely be in touch. We'll make something happen soon, my friend.
All right, sounds good.
Huge thanks to Larry Johnson for joining us today. We've got to get into all that he mentioned there, but when we come back, we're going to be joined right here on the Great American Sports Show by Todd Marinovich.